welcome back to Our Community. Susie Thomas visiting with Sammy Kay from Spring Hill Historic Home. For those who may not know, where are you located, Sammy?
We are located on the corner, or at the intersection, I guess I should say, at Wales Road and Lake Avenue in Massillon.
And can you just go any old time? Do you need to make a reservation? Are you always open?
Well,
always
I wish
there?
we were always open. We are open for walk-in tours Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays this year from 1 to 4. We will be open through the end of October. So right now we're open for regular, just guided tours, audio tours, things like that. But starting September 9th, September 9th, we are going to be opening a World War I exhibit. So our last 2 months, we will be focusing on World War I. It is going towards the end of the centennial. And 1818 and 1819 was the centennial of Horatio Wales, who lived in the house, being abroad in France. So that's why we're celebrating our centennial a little off from everyone else. Most people were celebrating it last year with the United States joining the war. So we're off a little bit, but we're going to be focusing on what the war and what the wartime would have been like for people like Irene and Horatio, being involved in the community, still living here, or having family members abroad.
And that brings it right home, because then you're really getting your personal tie of the historic home to World War I. And World War I?
World War I.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That is kind of amazing. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been 100 years.
I'm thinking, my goodness. Yeah. Wow. Wow. Okay. Yes, history. Time does march on, doesn't it?
It does.
So this summer, you've always got really great things going on, other than the August 18th and getting to go on the experience the Underground Railroad. What else can we look forward to this summer?
Well, I'll plug something for a little bit later, since we were talking about World War I. Our Spring Hill players, we do murder mysteries twice a year. So at the very end of our World War I exhibit, we will be doing a World War I murder mystery.
Okay, that's too fun.
It's so much fun. Those are all improv, 3 performances. It is the first weekend of November. So that'll be our very last closing thing for that exhibit. And then throughout the August, September, October, November, we will be hosting our annual speaker series at the Massillon Public Library. I am just finishing up confirming some things.
Okay.
But
we'll have you back. We won't we won't hold you to who you say is going to be there, but we'll have you back and talk about those.
Yeah, but it's all going to be a World War I theme. We'll be having a young man who's a World War I reenactor talking about the 322nd Regiment, which was Horatio's regiment. We have a woman coming in who will be talking about the propaganda used in World War I, and specifically its impact on Ohio, which is, I'm really excited for her. That'll be in August.
Yeah.
She's kind of our kickoff speaker. And then I believe we will be having something on the Doughboy statues. That's still kind of up in the air, that are throughout the country. And the other one I'm waiting to confirm on is Ohio's impact on the Red Cross, because World War I is where the Red Cross really gets picking up. And that works perfectly, because Irene Wales, Horatio's wife, was the head of the Massillon Red Cross during the war.
Brings it right to home.
Yep.
Drops it off at your doorstep.
Perfect.
For people who have never been there, you really do have just some remarkable everyday things to see. Can you kind of take us through the home and tell us what we find there?
Sure. So we're lucky the house is a 1800s farmhouse, but was lived in until 1973.
Yeah.
So my favorite thing in the world is people come in all the time and they go, "We had that when I was growing up." And I go, yeah. A lot of things in our china cabinet just remind me straight from my grandma's house. I mean, it's just, yeah.
Yeah, it was a home that was inhabited by
until
friends
very
of ours.
recently. So we're, we focus a lot on that. We focus a lot on, what everyday life would have been like, and then how the world around us would be impacting an average family. I mean, the family's well off, especially for the era, especially when it's built. The Roach family, Thomas's father and uncle, owned 2 of the ships that were attacked in the Boston Tea Party. I mean, they're not just day laborers. They come from some decent money. And they obviously come from enough that they can found their own village. But, they don't live like that. They just live like average people, like what my family would have looked like.
I love that you say that. There's something very grounded about this family, and it continued through generations because you take it through McLean Grocery and so forth. That family was raised very down to earth.
Yes.
That we've been blessed and we will be givers.
But
we are no better or no worse than anyone else.
And they are hard workers.
Yes.
I always laugh. Arvine Wales, his son, Arvine Chafee, wanted to go to college. And Arvine Wales refuses to let him go to college for a very long time until his wife convinces him to let their son go to college, which is weird now.
Isn't it?
But Arvine Wales was raised as a farmhand. And he did not want his son to become an armchair farmer, to sit up in the house and never understand what it's like to be out there working, and to dictate all of these things without ever experiencing or doing that hands-on work.
Get your nails dirty.
Yeah. And so they convinced him he was allowed to go to college as long as he studied agriculture. And he brought a lot of really innovative techniques back, and he was really influential in bringing a lot of innovative work to the agriculture field in the state of Ohio. So, and you just, I mean, that is just so quintessential to this family that I'm not surprised that they did this at all.
Salt of the earth, I think is what you call it.
Yes, very much.
And it really has been a generational thing. Very, very cool.
We are still in touch with the family today, and they are still just so focused on their community and what they can do to better life for everyone. I ran into some people who live in the same town as one of the descendants now, and I was like, oh yeah, I know them, and they were like, oh my gosh, they're always involved with us, and they're so generous, and they just had nothing but good things to say, and I'm like, this sounds like the family I know.
Yes, exactly. Very, very cool. I want to swing back to something you said earlier. I'm
all over the place.
but you started volunteering as a 10-year-old there. What does a 10-year-old do at Spring Hill Historic Home as a volunteer? And why? What was your interest?
I, right before I turned 10, going into third grade, my parents had taken me to Colonial Williamsburg. And my mother had foolishly made me a dress to match my American Girl doll, Felicity. And that was her first mistake.
Oh, my. How awesome is that?
Yes. And I just absolutely adored it. I had declared then and there that I was going to work for Colonial Williamsburg and run around all day and pretend I lived in the late 1700s.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah. No. Penicillin is a wonderful thing.
That's right. Yeah.
Indoor plumbing. Yeah.
A lot of things that we like today.
Yeah. But the fun part of getting to run around.
The clothes.
Make history come to life.
Yes.
And my mother and my grandmother were reached out to by Spring Hill to come and talk about quilting because they both quilted. My mother still does. And they had asked them to come and set up a quilt frame for the Underground Railroad experience and talk about this very traditional art. And my mom and my grandma were going to be in costume, and along with a few of their other friends. And my mom was like, well, you want to come? And they foolishly let me show up in my little costume and run around all day. And I don't think I actually did anything, but I got to run around in costume, which was the best thing in the world. Yeah. So we actually have a few of our younger Spring Hill players are
So there are children
10.
involved.
Yeah.
How cool.
And you know, they're doing the exact same thing I did. They are there helping out. They are in costume and they're running around and they are having a great time. And that is all I can ask. And it really makes a difference because it's not just, well, in 1792, Columbus, you know.
Right. We're not just pointing things and telling about them. You're really experiencing it. Mm-hmm. As a 10-year-old, were you impacted at all about what the Underground Railroad was? What was your grasp of that at the time, if you can remember?
It's hard because at that age, I tell people this all the time, you know, I get fourth graders in. And that's the age.
Right.
And, you know, you understand white people enslaved black people. And that is all, as a fourth grader, you need to understand because it is much more complicated than that. And they ask at the same time, and I'm sure I was one of those kids because I was annoying, that asked those really difficult questions that are grade levels above their understanding, and they're not going to quite understand it and be able to grasp it. But at the same time, they're starting to. So they're starting to understand that there was this atrocious history that we have. and it's wrong. But there were people who, looked like them. And it doesn't matter what any kid looks like. I can find somebody in that history that looks like them and that they can relate to that's doing good work. And I think it's inspiring. I think it means so much more for them to see that, there's somebody like me doing this type of stuff, and they weren't rich.
Right.
And they weren't politicians, and they weren't whatever. They were just like me.
They saw an injustice, and they figured out a way they could do something about it, and they just quietly, in their own way, did it. Just went
Even though,
about it.
and that's a really hard thing for them to also understand is, even though it's against the law, you're technically breaking the law, but,
There are some bad laws.
Yeah. Just because something's a law doesn't mean that it's moral or right or just.
It's time to revisit that law.
Yes.
when you've got laws that are bad.
Yeah.
Revisit them. They can be fixed.
Yeah. And sometimes it takes time.
Yes.
Because, we were questioning this, like we said, since we started this country. And it was almost 100 years later before we were finally...
Before it finally came to a head and got... Yeah. Well, it is completely different when you get to live it. So again, August 18th, Spring Hill. Players will be taking you through the Underground Railroad. And how do we get signed up for this, Sammy?
We do have tickets on sale right now. I do suggest buying tickets earlier rather than later.
They go fast, do they not?
Last year we sold out. And that included adding a sixth performance 2 days before the show. We were still pretty much sold out by the time the show came about. But you can buy them online, pay for them, and we'll have the tickets at the house ready for you.
Cost to go?
We have 3 different ticket packages, so it'll cost you for an adult, somewhere between $10 to $20, depending on what ticket package you get. We will also have more information on our website, springhillhistorichome.org, on all of our social media. So we're on Facebook, Instagram under Spring Hill Historic Home, and our Twitter account is actually run by our mascot, Tommy the Sheep, Tomy, the sheep on Twitter. And he gets into all sorts of trouble. We're just winding down a museum mascot exchange. So he has been in New York for a month, and now we're winding down another mascot being here in Maslin. So Humorisk will be going back to the Arkell Museum very soon. But it's a lot of fun. There's a huge museum mascot community on Twitter.
Who knew?
Yeah.
You are a wealth of information.
It's all those weird things that you never thought you would come across.
Very, very cool. Well, be sure to go to springhillhistorichome.org.
Yes.
And there you go. It's all there. Or look them up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Yeah, and all of our other events are coming up that you can find that information there. We're starting trivia nights with Jen's Place downtown. That'll actually be starting on July 5th. Will be our very first one. That'll be all Americana trivia. It'll be a lot of fun.
Awesome. We'll see you in a few days at that.
We've got all sorts of things going on.
Sammy K., thank you for all you do in our community.
Thank you.